Hi everyone. In this video I'm going to show you how to access Minitab through the university and how to do basic features and things that you'll need for the first week or first unit. So I just simply Googled ship Minitab, and the first thing that comes up here is probably helpful, so I'll click on that. Okay, and so no matter what you Google, you'll probably come to a page like this or this page, and it gives you some directions on how to access Minitab, the application. And so what you want to do is click on this hyperlink here, app.minitab.com. Okay, and so when you do, it's going to open up this page and ask you to enter an email. The email that you should enter is your ship email. And so I'll enter mine here. And it's going to redirect you to a page that asks you, do you want to go with just the Minitab license portal or Shippensburg single sign-on? Actually, you may just get the Shippensburg single sign-on option. Okay, hopefully you get this option because it's the one that you want. It's the single sign-on page that you're used to, that you log into D2L and all the other stuff with. And so what you want to do is enter your information here just like you would to get into any other Shippensburg software. And so when you do that, what you're going to get now with the recent dual authentication, two-factor authentication is going to give you this. And so for me, it looks like this, and so I have to send a push. It may look different for you, but you authenticate yourself, and then it's going to open up this page. Now, for me, it opens up Minitab directly. For you, it may not. It opens it up directly for me because I've used this many times before. But the directions on this page here will help you get to Minitab, the application here. So what you'll need is maybe a let's get started. Yeah, so they might ask you let's get started and enter your email address again. That's fine. There's going to be a 6 sort of, not say page, but there are going to be 6 boxes in the following window that pops up. 6 boxes. One of them is going to say My Products, and one is, and under that it's going to say the Minitab statistical software. That's what you want to click on. Okay, and it's going to ask you, do you want to download, especially if you have a Windows machine, it's going to ask you, do you want to download the software onto your machine personally, or do you want to use it through the web app? And what you want to do is use it from the web app, not download it with the desktop app. Now, of course, if you do want it on your desktop, that's fine. But I'm guessing that you probably want to just access it through the web app. And so what that looks like when you finally get there is this. So this is Minitab. It's got some space here where all of the output will go. And down here, it's an Excel-like thing. So if you've used Excel, this is different than Excel, but it's got the same sort of place where you enter data. Okay, and so this is the basic Minitab page that you'll always start with. Okay, so for what you need to do or what you may do throughout the course is a bunch of different stuff, but the most basic part is that I may ask you to enter data, and so if I do give you, say, a string of numbers and ask various summary statistics, which you'll find out how to do later in the lesson if you haven't watched it yet. If I give you a string of numbers, you'll want to enter them into the column. Now, when you start to enter anything into this C1, C2, the different columns, it's going to give you a prompt to save to a location. You don't want to do that. So you can either just click the X, it'll go away, or it may continue to pop up. If you do that, you may want to choose continue with without autosave down here, and it won't bother you again. Okay, so I can enter in a few points of data here into my column. Okay, and then that's the data that we're going to work with. So part of the first week's lesson is to summarize this data, and I ask you to make a mean and a median and a standard deviation, whatever those are. You may know what they are, you may have no idea what they are. Both are okay. But I'm going to ask you to find the mean, the median, the standard deviation, what I'm going to call summary statistics. And so to do that, in Minitab, you have a number of options up here. Okay, the main ones that we are going to use are calculate and stat, and sometimes graph, especially here and early on. We're going to use graph a lot. Okay, so if I want to find a mean or a median or something, a summary statistic of data, I'm going to go to calculate, column statistics, because we're working with a column. Okay. Column statistics, and then it's going to open up a number of different options here. Okay, and so if I want the mean of that data, or the mean of the data in the column, okay, I would choose mean. Input variable is which column are you interested in. The only column I have data in is C1, so that's the only one that's going to pop up, but I need to still select that. Okay. And you don't need to store any result, and so when I click OK, it's going to give me the mean of column 1 here. Okay, so that's one way to do it. There are actually a number of ways to do it. So I could also, instead of calculate, I could go to stat, basic statistics, and display descriptive statistics. Okay, and so when I do that, it's going to ask me what variable do I want to describe, and so it's C1. Okay, and when I click on this, you have a number of options down here. Okay, I can click on statistics, and it gives me a bunch of different statistics. Okay, some of them we will learn, some of them we won't learn. Okay, but say I want the mean. Okay, that's clicked, so good. The variance, standard deviation, or something called variance. Maybe I want both of those. Maybe I don't want those. The median, great. And a lot of different other ones. All right, and so make sure all of those are clicked. There's also a graphs button. So maybe I want something called a histogram of this data. I could make that here, or a box plot. I won't do that now. But when I click OK, it's going to give me down here all of the different statistics that I asked for. So the mean, the standard deviation, something called the variance, the minimum of the data, the first quartile, Q1, which we'll learn, median, third quartile, maximum, all different kinds of statistics. And so that's one part. What I also may ask you to do is to create a graph of the data. And so as right now, I only have a few points down here, and so making a graph is not fun. So with a few points. Before we move on, I want to show you another feature that you'll have to use in Minitab, and that's loading data sets into Minitab. So most of the time, I won't ask you to write out hundreds of numbers. But actually, not most of the time. I will never ask you to write out hundreds of numbers in a column, but there may be data that already exists in, say, a comma-separated value or CSV or an Excel file, okay, or any other type of file that has data and that I can load into Minitab. And so that's what we're going to learn how to do before we make a graph. Okay, so to load a data set into Minitab, I want to go to File, right? File, Open, and then it has three options: a project, a worksheet, or Minitab Connect data. We definitely don't want Minitab Connect data. And we also don't want a project. What we want is a worksheet. Okay, and so I'm going to click Worksheet. Is it in Microsoft OneDrive, Google Drive, or a local file? For me and for you, it's going to be a local file. okay, because we're not using either one of those. And so when I click OK, it's going to open up a file browser on my personal computer. Okay, I'm going to navigate here, do some things, and navigate to a file that maybe we will use in class. So let's say fuel economy. This data set is quite large. It has thousands of rows in it, so thousands of different cars. So this data set is on a number of different cars and data about the car. Okay, so row 1 is about an Acura Entrega from 1986, and then it gives you all kinds of different stuff about that, and so on and so forth. Okay, and so say I wanted, out of all of these cars, I want to make a graph of the highway miles per gallon that all of these cars get. So maybe I want to summarize my data in a graph. Okay, so the variable that I'm interested in is the HWY, or highway, here. Okay, and so what I can do to make a graph in Minitab is self-explanatory. I want to go up here and to graph. Okay, and you have a number of different options here. If you want to explore different graphs and see how they would look, you can use Graph Builder, in which you can choose a set of data, or say the highway column, and then choose a number of different types of graphs and see what they look like. So it is a tool I hope that you do use, but if you're sure, if I ask you to make a specific type of graph and you're just interested in making that type of graph, so maybe for this data I want to make a histogram, I would go to either Graph Builder or histogram. Histogram, that is going to give you a number of different options. We want, if I only have one set of data and I'm not interested in anything else, I want a simple histogram. Okay, and so when I double click on that, it's going to ask me what variable that I am interested in summarizing. I have a number of different options here, but I want the highway variable. And so I can double click on that. It's going to take it over. There are some options here that you probably do not want or are not interested in, and that's fine. And so you don't have to click that if you want. Once you put your Y variable in here, you can click OK, and what's going to happen is it's going to create a graph. And so, for instance, here is a histogram of the highway variable. And so that is part of your assignment, are to make graphs. Then the next question is, how do you save those graphs? And so that you can put them into the assignment that you'll turn in. Okay, and so you can copy the graph, you can send to report, or you can choose a graph option. So you can do a lot of stuff with the graph over here with options, but you probably don't want that. What you want to do is probably copy and then paste into your Word document or whatever you're using, or you can take a screenshot using your computer and then put that into the document that you're working on. And so that's how you do basic descriptive statistics with stat, basic statistics, display descriptive statistics. And make graphs is with graph and then a number of different options. So down here is a bar chart and a pie chart, which you'll remember or you'll learn when you watch the videos is for one categorical variable. And up here, you'll get a histogram, a dot plot, or down here a box plot. Those are for describing one quantitative variable. And so that should be everything that you need to know to use Minitab for this first assignment. If there is something that I forgot, I'll make a subsequent video, of course, and show you there. So good luck. Hopefully this was helpful, and I'll see you next time.